Okay, so welcome everyone to the Launch Generation Cambridge Business Pitches. Thank you guys so much for making it here in this surreal space. For those of you who are watching on the live stream, we're actually here in the debating chambers at the Cambridge Union. So this room dates back to 1815. And I was just reading up a little bit beforehand. Winston Churchill has spoken here. So has Theodore Roosevelt. So has Stephen Hawking and the Dalai Lama. And we're about to hear from 16 teens who are about to join those ranks. So no pressure there. My name is Whitney Webb. I'm the founder and director of this program. I started Launch Generation because I found myself constantly having this same feedback of, oh my gosh, I wish I had known that when I was younger. And I heard my peers saying the same things. And I realized that a lot of the lessons that I had missed were around business, leadership, and personal finance. And so we've put together this program that we try to make as engaging and as relevant as possible, because I think that's the way that the education should be. And in one of our lessons, we teach design thinking. And one of the key tenets of that is whenever possible, show, don't tell. So we've put together a little slideshow to show you guys what we've been up to this week, and also give you an idea of how do we do this? How do we teach financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and leadership, and do it in a week? So hopefully this gives you a little taste. So is this? 1 second, a little funky here. Where should I point? Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry guys, I got it. Okay, so our first day is called the Network Effect, and this is really focusing on everyone getting to know each other. So the teens are going around in business card competitions, getting to know each other, getting to know all of their mentors. We quickly put them into teams to basically take a bag of trash and random objects and turn it into a business. That's the only advice that we give them. They then have to do their first pitch of the week and create a whole branding and marketing strategy. So day 2 is called a day of adulting. And so at all of the Launch Generation programs, we really believe in starting with the foundational pieces of financial literacy. Even before that, we focus on goal setting. So how do we identify what we want to do with our lives, and then how do we match that with the actions that we're taking, particularly in our financial lives? So as you can see up here, we focus on everything from budgeting. So everyone in this room has now created a year-long budget for their lives. They had to negotiate their salary even before that, so getting tips on how to get paid what they're worth. We then transition into credit and credit score, which is always kind of really fun to see how surprised people are that they have to have a credit score. It's going to be part of their lives. And talking about how that's going to affect not only their personal lives, but how that can even transition into their business lives if they one day want to get a loan. We did an improv class the first night. Obviously, business is a lot about improv. I think most of life is. So really learning to think on your feet, and also just being able to have a fun time and let loose. Day 3 is all about design. So we started by learning how to properly brainstorm and how do we identify gaps in the market. The world is changing so quickly, and new industries are coming up pretty much every day. So how do we start to think about the stakeholders that are affected by some of these issues, and what can we do about it? How can we take advantage of some of these opportunities? We then focus a little bit on the global goals. So we obviously have a lot of issues in the world that we need to solve, and the United Nations has come up with a pretty strong framework for how we can do that. So we've tied in some of this education around global goals into design thinking. And so each of the teens got an opportunity to interview a stakeholder in one of these issues. So whether it's clean water, access to education, and a lot of the big issues that are facing our world. And then they actually used the design thinking strategy to come up with another business. And that was their second chance to pitch an idea. During this day, we also did a punting tour of Cambridge. And because we need to tie business into absolutely everything, we had them identify competitors and then come up with their own punting company with a unique value proposition. The next day was, it's called Doing Good and Well. So talking a little bit about ethics, we had a young entrepreneur from London come up and talk about her business. She's raised about $500,000 for a company that is expanding the reach of hostels throughout Europe. So we heard from her startup story, some of her horror stories. And we talked a lot about business financials on this day. So really applying what we learned from those personal budgets to business budgets. We did a scavenger hunt through profit and loss statements and balance sheets, and trying to get everyone comfortable with seeing those because they're going to be a part of life. Let's see. We get them out a lot to do leadership challenges, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The launch, we visited 2 companies here in Cambridge. So one of them was Audio Analytic, which is a sound recognition technology. So that was really neat to hear from a founder's point of view, some of the challenges, but also some of the benefits of being an entrepreneur. And we then got to go to Cambridge Innovation Capital, which is a venture capital firm that actually invests in Audio Analytic. So it was a really interesting way to see both sides of that perspective of the founder and the funder. And this was the day when our TED Talks began. We're going to introduce TED in a little bit, but we had our own version of TED Talks here at LaunchGen. Oops. And then on the final day, we talked a lot about resilience. So as you can imagine, yesterday was massive crunch time. These teens have really only had a few days to put together a pretty comprehensive business pitch, full financials, and a business plan. So they got to really experience the true nature of being an entrepreneur, needing to cram a lot into a short period of time. And so we started the day by talking about resilience and how to power through some of those really difficult situations. And we got to meet with Bobby, who's here as well, who's another VC from London. We got to experience high tea and talk a little bit about etiquette and dressing for success. And that is that in a nutshell. Now we are going to start with the presentations. So can the first team come up to the stage?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. We are Chow, and I'm Pablo Perez, and I'm the COO of the company.
I am Timothy Broadbent, and I'm the president and CFO of the company.
I'm Sarah Rosenthal. I'm the head of sales.
I'm Chastity Titley, and I'm head of marketing.
So I'm pretty sure that a lot of people in this room sitting right now have been scrolling someday through social media or something, and they found like a really nice picture of something that they really like, a nice food or something. And then when they want to go and get it, they realize that it might be halfway around the world, so it's not accessible for them. And luckily, here at Chow, we found a solution for this problem.
So meet Chow. Chow is a New York City-based food hall that specializes in serving trendy and upcoming food in iconic locations. So Chow has three main benefits. It's in a very, very iconic location. Our first location is going to be in a renovated, abandoned New York City subways. Another benefit is we change out our booths every 2 months or every month. So every single time our customers come back, they have new options to try. They don't get bored of the same old options. And lastly, we give exposure to all these new and upcoming chefs.
Okay, so how does Chow work? So first, we have to actually find these companies, and we do that by researching through Instagram and Twitter and things like that, and seeing what's trending and what's like cool right now. And then we would get our food connoisseur to go and actually try the food, make sure it's good, it's up to quality. And then we would start corresponding with these businesses and making sure like if they're interested and kind of bringing them in. So then we have 4 revenue streams. The first is charging rent, which is going to be about $10,000 for the first month, and it goes down to $8,000. And that's really competitive in New York because on average, the rent for a food hall space is about $12,000. So to balance that, our second revenue stream is taking 15% of the revenue they bring in. And we kind of also balance that out by providing free marketing for the restaurants that are going to be in our food hall. Our next revenue stream is a bar that we own, so it's all our own stuff, and that's just Chow. And then we can also rent out Chow for events, and it's already equipped with like the bar, and it has all the things you need for like a cool party. So why it's important. So again, going back to the problem, it's a really good opportunity to give people more access to like things that they want to see more of. So again, social media is super important to like Gen Z and millennials. It's a big part of like the culture. So it kind of brings together people who are interested in the same thing, and it gives them access to like build their social media profiles, which I think is important to a lot of people. And with that, it also provides like an international audience. So it creates a really diverse community of foodies who are all interested in the same thing. They can kind of talk. It just provides like a good atmosphere. It also has a good community impact because it's reviving that abandoned station, and it's giving it like a new purpose. And it also allows small businesses to build relationships and kind of gain support from the community in that like give-give relationship.
So meet Jane. Jane is a 20-year-old Instagram foodie who's a part of the Gen Z generation. And she is the type of person who we target because she focuses on gaining a big social media following. And by using our 7 booths, she'll be able to succeed in that. And the good part about our research that we found is that 2 of the booths that we have decided to be a part of our company contacted us back and said that they would love to find a future in our company, and one of those being Hip Chip London and another one being PBJ LA. And we provide for our customers trendy foods that they can always post that may not be accessible to them. And our future plans is to expand our company to major cities all across the world, and we plan on feeding 8,400 people per week. And through extreme marketing, we will use social media such as Instagram and Facebook ads to reach out. And each booth will get 2 videos to promote the food that they'll be selling in our company. And we'll use branding on everything from the plates that we use to the cups to the napkins that will specifically say Chow on them. And we will also reach out to people through customer posts where they will tag the location. And we will keep reinvesting our money in marketing to ensure the growth throughout the company.
Okay, so now our competition, like our direct competition would be these 3 that we have. It's Italy, that some of you may know, it's quite famous. And they have 2 locations actually in New York City, and they only serve Italian food. And that's something we won't do because we will want to have food from like around the world at the same place. And we also just have 1 place in the subway station, so it's like more exclusive. And then it's the Plaza Food Hall that they have a wider variety of foods to choose from, but they don't have the same like vibe we have. Like it's totally different to eat in an abandoned and renewed subway station in New York City than just in the basement of the Plaza Hotel. And we also give our booths, like the restaurants that are our booths, good marketing, and they don't. And then we have Refin, that's actually located in Europe, and it's like a massive food hall. And we just took some points of their business model and just made them better.
All right, so now for some numbers. On the left, we have our profit and losses, and on the right, we have the estimated cash balance for the first year of sales. So as Sarah was saying before, we have 4 different revenue streams, and based off those revenue streams and the extensive research we did into Midtown Manhattan's food culture, we found that it would be pretty reasonable to assume that we would gain at least 50 customers per booth per month. So we took that number and we made our bar sales directly correlated to the booth sales. And we found that by the end of the first year, we would have roughly each booth selling 1,200 items a week, and the bar selling roughly 2,000 drinks a week. And in total, we would have made roughly $500,000 in net profit. All right, so meet the team. We are a great team, and we all come from different backgrounds and different parts of the world. However, we have one thing in common. We all love food-based social media. And that's really important to Chow, considering that Chow is so social media focused. And another thing, additionally, we all are members of Gen Z. So that is super important because it allows us to relate with our target audience. Thank you for being here. Any questions?
Questions?
I'm so proud of you guys. I do have a question. So say I just invented the newest unicorn Frappuccino, and I want to be a part of Chow. Besides just having like a cool place for my food, like what specific benefits are you giving to me?
Well, from the marketing aspect of our business, you'll be able to expand your unicorn drink because New York is in Midtown. It's such a tourist-filled place that the little bit of exposure that you'll get from running your own business, you'll be able to join it with us in a partnership and also meet other vendors that may even want to work with you in the future. So that's one thing.
So what's your plan for other cities? So you're talking about New York at the moment. What's your expansion going to be? Or are you indeed going to expand?
So we would love to expand, but only after New York has been established and we've tested out the business model. And expansion would involve finding a really, really unique location in these other major cities around the globe, and then implementing almost the same business model of taking restaurants from around the world and putting them all in one place.
Very nice presentation. Thank you very much. Excuse me, very nice presentation. Thank you all very much for it. So I'm always interested, we heard the finished product. What ideas are on the cutting room floor that you didn't share with us?
So right now, there's a lot of millennials and members of the Gen Z generation don't want to have to wait for anything. So we're really impatient. So eventually down the line, once we're fully established and up and going, it would be great to possibly make an app that they could order before they even come to Chow, and their food will be ready when they're there.
Could you go back to the slide that has the overview and tell us a little bit about your vision? Tell us a little bit about your vision for the actual venue in New York City. Because I thought that was extraordinarily first off, that you could accomplish that in 3 days, but also there's a real vision behind this. I'd like to hear more about what you're thinking.
Yeah, so basically it's going to be located in the subway, as we said. So it's going to be like you can see the subway actually like driving by. There's going to be like glass, so you can almost watch while you're eating, and it kind of provides like a cool vibe, like a new, like it's really unusual location. So it kind of gives it like the edge that a lot of our competitors don't have.
So we've reached out to the MTA, and currently the MTA, which runs all the subways in New York City, is almost bankrupt. They are losing tons and tons of money each year. And we reached out to them, and they didn't seem super opposed to the idea. And in the past, there's actually been a nightclub in a subway station that's been abandoned.
Hi, I'm an elite Upper East Side socialite, and I don't really take the subway. So why would I go down there? What would attract me to go down to that space?
Well, you don't have to take the subway to get there, but it's like a unique experience that you can't get anywhere else in the world. And all the food venues that will be there will be really good. It'll just have like a really nice environment. So I think you'll like it. Yeah, of course they will.
In fact, our food hall is completely cut off from the subway tracks, so it should be relatively clean.
Are you worried, a little bit along those lines, are you worried at all about the reputation that the New York City subway has for being really dirty and old and unsanitary generally?
Again, the glass wall is going to cut it off completely from the tracks, and that will basically be the divider between cleanliness and the dirt and grime of the subway. And when we first are in the process of building the space, we're going to do a deep clean and scrub everything and make sure that it's spotless.
And we also, a part of our finances, we have hired like an exterminator, and to make sure that like all like the rats and things like that's nothing to worry about. And we also have created a section for the kitchen that's completely separate. It's upstairs, so it won't exactly be like in the subway, so you wouldn't have to worry about cross-contamination or anything like that. And for the booth specifically, we're going to make it so that each booth has exactly what it needs. So if it's like an ice cream booth, then it's going to have like a freezer that's right there that's not going to be separate from like the meat. Like, so yeah.
More questions?
Hi. Given you're working with lots of different restaurants, how are you going to ensure quality control and consistency?
Okay, so as far as the food goes, we're going to actually like make sure it's good beforehand. So we have a food connoisseur that we're hiring to make to go to these restaurants before we bring them in and make sure like everything's good and like the team is nice and it's someone that we would work well with.
And the connoisseur would also test all the booths pretty regularly, and if their standards lower below what we think is acceptable, we'll try to end their lease in our space and fill them with a better restaurant.
Thanks. Awesome job, guys. Just one quick note, the reason why we're passing around microphones, I know we can all hear each other, but we've got a live stream going on, so just so the parents who aren't able to join, they can hear us. And now we're ready for the second group to come up.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. This is Odyssey. I'm Max. I'm the CEO and co-founder.
I'm Rita. I'm CTO and co-founder.
I'm Will, CMO and co-founder.
I'm Asha, CFO and co-founder.
The aim of our app is to allow young people specifically to travel the world, experience new cultures, and meet people more affordably and stress-free.
Of course, the important question here is why an app? Why can't you just go around and travel? And the answer to that is clear if we look at contemporary methods of travel planning. Say you want to go to Italy, but without Odyssey, you would spend hours poring over reviews and being left on hold. Odyssey would exchange this stressful experience for the people and places that people travel and that our users deserve.
So the way our app would work is we would hire young people and train them to be curators of the trip. And the trip can be anything from a tropical holiday to a museum. And the user would be able to join specific trip with other strangers so they meet new people. And the leader would be responsible for booking the trip, the accommodation, and all of the entertainment. And activities in the group would be recommended based on interests that each person has entered on their profile.
Yeah, so when marketing Odyssey, we decided to target 3 main groups: backpackers, students, and travelers.
Here you see a wireframe of what the app would look like. We set it up with a really simple user interface to remove even more stress from the process. The user would begin with account setup and then a preference survey in which they'd specify what time they go to bed, what food they eat, and any other personal details that would help them be paired with an appropriate group. The survey is also used to be paired with their curators. Next comes the page with trip recommendations and selections in which the user would be able to look at a wide variety of trips. And finally, we have trip details in order to make sure our users make an informed decision.
So our curators are basically young leaders who will be in charge of booking flights, hotels, food, excursions, and experiences for the trip. So in order to train the curators, we're going to be doing a 3-day course in Berlin where the co-founders will teach the curators how to use our partnership booking sites and get discounted bookings, and also find the best plans for customers to do in the city and safety regulations. So we discussed as a team that our curators won't be controlling and surveying the customers. They would just be adding a social media aspect to the team.
Yeah, so one of the ways we want to promote Odyssey is through micro-influencers, and we have a 3-stage plan as how we want to implement this. Why micro-influencers? Well, there's 3 main reasons why we want to use micro-influencers rather than celebrity influencers. First of all, micro-influencers have a much more loyal audience. The engagement on micro-influencers posts is 85% higher. And from a business point of view, it's much cheaper for us to use micro-influencers than traditional influencers. One final way we want to promote Odyssey is through social media ads, targeting those interested in the travel niche.
So our main competitor is a company called Backroads. They facilitate trips, also led by trained leaders in normally extreme environments. So you'll go hiking in mountains and very naturally volatile environments. So that also comes along with the leaders having to take a more authoritative standpoint in the trip, so they can't make as much of a social impact. And also the range of trips they offer isn't as wide, as it's more just sports and hiking and stuff like that. Whereas we would allow the curators to integrate more with the users, and they would also as well as that make sure they're leading the trip. And we also offer a much wider range of trips, so anything from a day out in a city to a 2-week trip to the other side of the world.
So imagine if you were able to go to Berlin for a week.
which is a culturally enriching experience where you'll be able to do museum visits and house self-catering for 7 days. You'll be able to meet new people within your group, and it will only cost $693. So this will include accommodation, food, travel, and entertainment. So the main income from our trips is from a premium. So if there is 3 to 10 people in a group, it will be 15% premium added to the original trip. If there's 11 to 20, it will be 10%, and over 20, it will be 7.5%. So the curators are incentivized to do jobs for free, but get a small payment depending on what kind of trip it is. So this is an example of an itinerary that the customers can follow for a week in Berlin.
So our startup costs in total, including development fees, legal fees, marketing, and training the curators, came to a total of $88,000. We hope to fund for our startup. We hope to raise $150,000 through 2 different sources. Firstly, we want to raise $125,000 from a VC and angel investor round, and raise the remaining $25,000 from a Kickstarter campaign, as it would give us also additional exposure. So our financial projections, although it looks bad, there's an explanation for it. So in the first year, we're looking at $500,000 revenue and a negative $30,000 profit. But because of our cash flow and the funding we've raised, we can go into that. It's just biting into our startup. But because of our additional expenditures, it's beneficial in the long term for the expansion of our company. And then second year, we hope to double our revenue and have a profit of 100 grand, and from then on, increasing our revenue by 40 to 50% every year onwards.
Naturally, our service deals with both efficiency and the highest quality of experience for our user. And whether it's for a day, a week, a month, or a lifetime, Odyssey would be able to provide the users with the relaxed and stress-free vacations or trips that they deserve. Thank you so much for your time. And we have questions.
Two questions, if I may. Firstly, with your deployment plan, say you're raising 150K, what's the plan for that? What exactly will you do with that?
That money specifically is for our, mostly for our startup fees, and then it would then be added to the cash flow because of our negative net profit. But we need to allow that in order to start off the company, and then we'll have a sustainable growth.
Okay. Second one is, in terms of the demographic that you're targeting, do they want to be told what to do on one of these trips? So you're talking about a curator. So surely they don't want someone who's akin to a parent telling them what to do. Is that the model that you envisage or not? I'm sure it isn't, but explain a bit.
So the curator will most likely be a social media influencer. So the customers who are actually traveling with them would just want to hang out with them, and they wouldn't be controlled by the curator, but instead the curator will suggest activities for the customers to do. There's no set schedule. It's just suggesting.
Hi, what if I go on my trip and I'm like catfished by my group, meaning the people don't really have that interest, or I end up having an unpleasant experience with my group? How would you handle that kind of problem?
We have a verification service in place actually on our app. Once you travel with somebody, you're able to verify that that was your travel experience. And when you go to join a group, you can see the number of checks that verify that person. So you would be able to see when you sign up for the trip.
So with your year one revenue of 500,000, how many unique trips is that?
It's 26 trips. When we were making the estimates, we had big trips, which was an average of a two-week trip to Australia with a group of 30, and then a small trip, which was the average between two trips, the week trip to Berlin with 10 people, and a day trip in London with 19 people. And so it's a mix of those and 26 trips.
So since you're targeting young people, are you focused on summer travel, or are you looking across
Considering that the travel is worldwide, it depends where, because summer's different in different places. So year long, just going to different places. And also, if it's a more culturally focused experience, it's not as important how hot it is.
That's good.
Hey, two things I really loved about the presentation were the wireframe, the prototype, like being able to see the app was amazing to me. And it looked great, like I would definitely use it. And the second thing was I think you guys had a lot of thought put into kind of specific avenues that you want to take the company. And that shows a lot of forethought and hard work, so well done. My question for you is, if I wanted to be a curator, can you describe like the benefit or the incentive? Because I'm not being paid, right?
You get to go on the trip for free, and the whole idea of you integrating in it socially is that so it will be like the trip for you in the same way it would be for anyone else. You just have to book it, and with that comes a small cash payment. It wouldn't be the equivalent to just leading the trip and you also having to pay for it. It's not like a full-on salary. It's just a small payment on top of going on the trip for free.
And I'm gathering that there's a revenue stream also with potential travel partners. You're not getting into the travel business, but do you have a revenue stream that's based on plane bookings and hotel bookings and things of that nature?
We're going to partner up with hotel companies, and they're going to give us discounts, and then we're obviously going to give more exposure to the hotel companies, and that means that our customers are going to get discounted payment.
So the Kickstarter is going to start soon, yeah, I understand, and you're looking for 150,000. I'll write that check. What percentage would you offer me?
We valued our company at $1 million. So the part that wasn't Kickstarter, so the 125, the VC and angel investors round, we were attempting to raise 125,000 from that. So we'd offer you 12.5% of the company.
Very good. Well, come by my office on Monday.
Thank you. So as the third team makes their way up, I just wanted to also note that back in our classroom, we're having a reception right after this, you'll be able to see each team's business plan and financial statements to get a little bit more in depth to their businesses.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sarah Cantor, and this is Power.
Before we get started, I'd like to thank Niara Wright for, contributing to our group and helping us out. Go ahead. Empowerment. We're taking the word power from empowerment because we're pretty much wanting to create a community, a platform to stand up and stand out.
So the problem that we're going to be working with is solving the fact that there's a lack of awareness for mental health problems, not just in America, but for almost every other country out there. And then another one is that people feel alone and comfortable about speaking out and truly being themselves and finding their identity. And even though they want to find their identity, they don't necessarily have the tools or the knowledge on how to do that. So the way we're going to be solving this problem is that we're going to spread awareness topics. We're going to provide support system and community. Last but not least, we're going to serve friends, keep these goals really. My name is Callie Stewart. I am the CMO.
I'm Theo Epps, and I'm the CTO.
I'm Malia Hawley. I'm the COO
And I'm Sarah Cantor. I'm the CFO. So our service is we're a subscription-based platform. We offer a monthly subscription box, access to online podcasts and content, and an online community centered around awareness.
For the market research interviews, we had 2 questions. The first question was, what are some mental blocks that you have in terms of pursuing your passions and what you want to do? And the second question is going to be, would you use our product and services we provide? So right now, we're going to show the videos right now.
Because the entertainment industry, it's moving away from that, but right now it's very much how you look does matter quite a bit. So that provides a big mental block, because that makes me think, this character's in my range, she's a lot like me, this will be perfect. Oh wait, she's played by Kristen Chenoweth, who's like 5 foot and blonde. So that kind of
awareness of mental health and support for mental health problems is really important, especially for kids, because that's a very vulnerable time when they're young and impressionable and trying to impress friends, but also trying to become their own person. So I think it's a really important time that kids have good support for mental health.
And last but not least, would you partake in this yourself, or would you maybe nudge your child to open himself up on the community?
I would probably, at this current time, I guess I don't feel like I need assistance with my mental health problems, but I would, definitely make my children aware of.
Maybe like people sort of, I don't know, like judging me or whatever.
Yeah. So like, what is it, an app that connects people?
It's a website/subscription that helps people basically let out all the problems they feel like they have, so that they feel like they're not alone.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
So, and then we did online web search, which is going to be our market analysis. And 3.2 million 12 to 17-year-olds have had at least one major depressive episode within the past 12 months. And this is a 2019 statistical analysis. The second one being that a survey of more than 10,000 students at 13 of Washington's 2 to 4-year institutions show the need for mental health services on campus. And last but not least, among young children ages 18 to 24 living with financial aid or food stamps, 13% reported symptoms of depression in 2017, while mere 6 symptoms of depression when they didn't get food stamps.
So reaffirming what Callie said, 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness, so it's not just a problem isolated to young people, it affects everyone. But what we found is a lot of the problem is on college and university campuses, which is where we will target our marketing.
So, of course, we've encountered competition. Our main competitors we've found are PauseBox, BuddyBox, and #PurposeBox. Our competitors, they all lack the social communal aspect that is crucial in serving the purpose of this platform. And by not having any unifying common area for their customers, the competition just fails to meet these goals.
So our box, which is priced at our subscription is $25 a month, which is priced competitively with our competitors, but it only costs us about $8 to make the box, so huge markup there. And within each box, you'll get this lovely t-shirt. They change month to month. And each box is curated to a different awareness month, so each month has a different specialty. So yeah, they're really cool boxes.
So here we have some of our prototypes. These are very much the center and heart of our platform. So first we have the website. As you can see at the top there, the page is listed. We have Power Shop, which is our merchandise. Power Box, the subscription pack we just showed you. Power Chat, that's where the socializing happens, connections are made, the important part. Power Parties, these are tangible events. There's also Power Cast, our podcast, and Power Posts, our blog, which is free to read. And our app, of course, which is bears a very strong resemblance to the website with a greater emphasis on social media.
How will we reach out? Pretty much we will reach out to individuals such as ourselves and spread awareness. And to spread knowledge, we are going to show and tell, pretty much show people that they're not the only ones suffering from this. And the PR benefits would be we'd work with companies with the same goals as us.
So beyond our startup expenses, our technological startup expenses, which are pretty small, our expenses are small. So after the first year, it's pretty much a revenue game.
So in the first year, it's pretty much going to just be based off of research and development, so we can make a stronger core. And then going on to the third year, we're going to form partnerships, and so we can reach out to others. And then later on, by the fifth year, we will create a larger community and hopefully become international.
All right, and we just want to say thank you for this opportunity. Now, we all come from different backgrounds, and me personally being from Oakland, I can't really say the things I want to say or really be who I want to be at some point, because this isn't really an area that you could do that at. So I feel like this product and the service we're providing to people would really help them find themselves and who they want to be and just manifest their own identity. And so it would be really amazing for you to support us and show your love by helping us build our power. Thank you.
Any questions?
Hi, are you confident that you've got the right price point there for your monthly subscription? Have you got any evidence of people willing to pay that?
We're having rough time finding actual statistics because we're taking two industries that kind of already exist and trying to bring them together and connecting the awareness and the physical product. We don't really have a ton of expenses in terms of maintaining once we develop the technology, and we're turning profit anyways. So we wanted to keep it low profit because we wanted it to be a nonprofit.
Great theatrics and dramatics in that one, so much appreciated. Mental health is obviously a big issue globally, and in the UK, the government is very, very fixated on this and concerned about it. So have you reached out to governments, because they are probably going to be people that will support this initiative, particularly if you sell it in this fashion to them?
No, we have not, but that is a great idea. We'll definitely look into it.
Yeah, it's awesome to see young, ambitious people trying to genuinely solve a problem. With so many issues out there and with the ambition of tackling that globally, how do you down select your monthly flavor of the month?
I think we just try to we'll mix it up, to be honest. The point is to build a community, so really once we get out there and get partnered with some of the awareness, we'll try to keep coming back to the months every year.
Kind of a related question. I think some of us might really benefit from being sensitized as to the challenges that young people face in establishing their own identity. And I don't think you have to speak personally, but I was curious, what would be your ambition in terms of helping students like yourself deal with some of the key issues that they're facing? And I see your core value proposition as mitigating the search costs of people finding others who are facing those same issues. Could you give us just a broad overview of the issues you would like to help young people solve for themselves?
So, I mean, I kind of smile a lot. That's who I am as a person. When I'm in Oakland, I talk just like this and I look like this. I don't play games. I don't act like none of that really friendly type manner because it's not somewhere you could be friends with people at. But I love to laugh, you know what I mean? So I feel that's one thing we really have to do is help people really discover who they are as a person, for one, which we'll be able to do when they talk to people like us, like-minded individuals. And then second of all, it's all about the approach to how they're going to do that. Now, he read off a whole plethora of options in terms of what you could do, how to learn, how to touch the community and feel touched by them. So it's really individualized approach, basically. So it's, yeah.
Great work. I think it takes a lot of courage to look at such a big problem and to deliver a beautifully packaged and useful solution to people who really need it and to people who feel really underrepresented. So I commend you for that. My question is, a lot of big online places have a hard time curating the content because anybody can just post, say on Reddit or on Facebook, for example. How will you ensure that your comment sections will remain positive and productive for the people in them?
Well, for the first part of our journey, we will do that by way of a word and abusive phrase filter system. And of course, with the kind of community we have, we think also having the ability to report and quarantine certain comments would be highly effective for the first part. Then we can hire real moderators for the site.
Hi. First of all, I'm so proud of you guys. Second is, what if I'm not personally affected by a certain inequality issue or mental health issue, but I know someone who is, and I want to gift this to them? And would I be able to do that, and how?
Oh, yeah, you can sign up for the subscription box to be sent everywhere. It is subscription box. And it's not meant to just be for people who are struggling with it. You can be a part of the community and benefit from supporting others just in signing up and being a part of the community.
Sorry, and to add on to that, if you are looking out for a friend and you want to give them a box, we also sell boxes individually during that month. So those are...
To add on again, you don't have to necessarily put yourself out there if you feel, you know, not necessarily like that's something you want to do. You can make profiles that are anonymous where you don't really have to post too much, but you can kind of just do what you want to do. There's so many different paths you could take in order to achieve what you want to get done.
Great presentation, really well thought out. I want to thank you. I have one sort of observation and a question. One, the observation is that it strikes me that you're basically a content company. So you have the website, you have the app, you have the box. And so have you thought about either revenue or support, economic or otherwise, from partners, be it other brands, be it other institutions and so forth?
So we're located in Denver, so we were hoping to partner with University of Denver to get the podcast rolling. So they're going to produce the podcast, and they're going to be our brand ambassadors on their campus to start with. And then our goal would be to partner with some of the awareness companies and hopefully some companies that are producing products that we could put in our boxes.
Hello and good afternoon. My name's Henry Horn. I'm the founder and the CEO of Limitless. I'm 18 years old, and I will be a rising senior, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Hello, my name is Andrea. I'm the COO and VP of Sales. I'm 16 years old, and I'm from London.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Yugansh Pancholi. I'm Chief Financial Officer of Limitless. I'm 18 years old and a high school graduate from India.
Hi guys, I'm Karina Huang. I'm the CMO of Limitless. I'm 14 years old, and I'm going to be a rising sophomore from Los Altos, California. So, raise your hand if you have a bucket list.
And how many of you struggle to, organize and make it happen? Okay, so here's the problem. We found out that people want to make their dream happen, but find it really, really difficult to organize because we all have a, life to keep up to. So we just,
So our value proposition. So essentially, we're creating an app that saves the customers a lot of time and effort. So, I mean, one thing on my bucket list is traveling to Japan in the next 5 years. So I can have that on my bucket list in sort of like a timeline format to kind of keep me on track for that. So I can continue to have like a budget and something like that. So I will remain and have that up there until I can complete that task. That way we save customers time in the future from looking online and looking at flights and prices for things in that area for activities. And it saves a lot of time, which in this day and age is about the most valuable thing.
Well, our app Limitless is helping people to solve and accomplish and achieve their goals and their bucket list by providing best deals and destination and trending offers in the globally. We encourage them through customized reminders so that they can have a reminder of all the activities they want to do. And we also have various other facilities. We are not just specific about traveling. We include everything, including like sporting and restaurants, food, and many other activities. So we just we encourage people to achieve their goals and their activity and what they want to do.
So surpassing the competition. So we like to break up the competition into 3 categories. So we'd like to think airline search engines, hotel booking websites, and then the larger travel agencies such as Travelocity, Expedia, Kayak, just for some examples. And so one thing that those 3 kind of categories share is they try and find the best deals for things, but they're not always keeping in mind people's time. So time is obviously super valuable, as I've mentioned, but you're going to have to continuously go from page to page, putting in the things that'll fill your criteria for that trip. And so with our app, we'd compile all the data from these different services into one little spot. So once you click on a task for your bucket list, you'll have a large range of things that you can do. And say for me, Japan, I'd have a list of activities I can do, a flight that could get me there from different locations, a hotel that I can stay in, and the different ratings of all those places.
So this is how our app works. So first, when you download the app, you'll be introduced to the Let's Get to Know You page. And that is when we'll ask you about your interests and ask you to connect with friends, which will be helpful in the future. So our main page is your bucket list, where you can add and edit your ambitions. And on the bottom will be your budget, where you can implement the amount of money you want to spend at max. And you can also reduce it easily or add on to it. And our app will also automatically reduce it every time you achieve your goal or decide to cancel it. And then this is our notifications page. So we will notify you every time we find the best deal or destination for your bucket list items. So for example, what's something on your bucket list? Skydiving. So if you had put skydiving on your bucket list, we would find you the best deal or destination locally to where you live that is within your budget to skydive. And for our trending page, this is where we'll show you bucket list items that are trending globally, nationally, and in-state. And we also have a goals page where we'll put smaller like items that you want to accomplish. So more like resolutions like drink more water, exercise more. That's where we'll remind you in the goal page.
All right, so the market opportunities. So these are kind of some of the largest travel websites in the world, and we've compiled a list of a bunch and kind of looked at how many people visited those websites each month. And so overall, we kind of ballparked it, or not ballparked it, but we calculated it, but at around 28 million site visits per month. And so we kind of have an ambitious goal, about 1 million users by the end of our first year, but we do think that's achievable. Instagram, for example, in their first year, in 2010, when they opened, they had a goal of 1 million users by the end of their first year, and now look where they are. So you got to be a little bit ambitious.
So marketing strategy. Currently, we have 2 active accounts on both Instagram and Facebook. On our Instagram account, we would run promotions for $10 a day, which will reach around 7,600 to 20,000 people per month. And we also plan on issuing a press release. We also plan on issuing a press release to magazines like Wanderlust, CN Traveler, and Forbes magazine to launch our business. And we also plan on giving away 1 trip for every 100 people that download our app for the first 6 months.
So we have planned to spend $55,000 for our building up our app and starting it up, and we plan to launch it in February 2020. We have like the year 1 revenue of our company will be $287,000, and we are hopefully will make a profit of $135,000. We will charge 2% of the cost of services. This will be the main source of our revenue. That we will charge 2% of the cost of services if people come to our app and go to the website through our app, and we will be charging 10% of the cost of services if they do buy that service.
Okay, so to conclude, our company was founded by a new generation of believers that want to empower the idea of being able to do anything, but by just being supported, advised, and inspired on the way. We believe that society doesn't aspire enough for people to, make their dreams become a reality. So, due to this, we have created a new way for your ambitions to become a truth.
We are limitless.
Ambitions are limitless.
You.
So my bucket list would be base jumping from Everest with fireworks exploding from my parachute. And my girlfriend likes the luxury villa in Bora Bora. With such a breadth of potential user out there, how do you assure quality for everyone? Yeah, ignore the first part. I'm just asking, with such a broad, ambitious project where you're trying to fulfill everyone's dreams, and that is a real breadth of people in society, how do you assure a quality experience for everyone, because you've got so much to cater for?
Well, you would put in your budget, so not necessarily, unless your budget is incredible. Unless your budget is like $1 million, most likely people who use this app have like a lower budget. That's why they use it. So if you're looking for luxury, unless you put your, and versus someone who's not looking for luxury, you just implement the budget and it'll like find you the deal that like fits that budget.
What if I have something on my budget list or my bucket list like writing a novel? Can this app help me with that?
Of course, because we're not only focused on travel, we would organize networking opportunities for example, you that wanted to write a novel. So we would link you with someone that's, a writer.
This is where the connect with friends would come in for like future use. That's what I said. If we can connect you with someone who can edit your novel or like help you write it, so like it will gain a network for you.
I also just kind of want to reiterate that we're not just a travel website or an app. It's just that's where the most revenue would come from, kind of like you was talking about.
And kind of a related question, you're just curious, Elon Musk wants to be buried on Mars. Let's say that's on his bucket list. And poor Elon, we need to help Elon manage to achieve that goal. How do you connect to other people who have the same notion? Are there other people that might want to be buried on Mars, and is that part of Limitless?
Well, I mean, I guess we could kind of go back to like the trending page. Like if that would be something that's trending and something that's actually achievable, then a lot of people would be inspired by something like that. So I think that if there is something that might seem pretty far-fetched, but that people are actually doing and are posting about it and talking about it, then I think that we'd be able to allow them to like recreate that or actually complete that task.
So from what he said, adding on to that, so the platform that we wanted to build is just to inspire people and motivate people to, drive that way and achieve their dreams, because sometimes you want to go to Mars, but you don't see anyone saying, I want to go to Mars too. So, yeah, it's just a way to, inspire and just motivate them to come out of the shell and do what they want to do in life.
Look, I think it's a good idea. I think people should be encouraged to focus on goals, dreams, wishes, and you actually use that word yourself, dreams. So that angle's great. I think the idea is sound, and I think the focus on other things outside of travel is important. But what I'd say is that, and this doesn't just apply to you as a group, but to everyone, if you look at your financials, that you've all portrayed that you have this burn, and you've recognized that, but then you've also then got this big revenue line, and then you've got a profit. Now, the profit is there in year one. Look, as a VC, we see all these deals. If you gave me any company that's producing a profit in the first year, we'd be all over it. So I think that there's an optimism there, which is great. Listen, if you can produce a profit at the end of year one, then that's tremendous. And as I said, that applies to everyone. But the realistic angle is to really look at that cash flow statement and work out when is that profit really going to come in. Because if you anticipate and overestimate, then you're going to run out of cash.
Right. So I think it was Max maybe or Timmy said this earlier. So we would actually just go for an initial first round of funding for around $55,000, and then once we had built the app, we'd start generating revenue based on our prices. And so then we would go for a second round of funding for around $150,000. So once we cover the cost of the $50,000, then like they were saying, it would go right back into the cash flow. So then that's kind of where that profit number is coming from.
I've got two things to say and then a question. The first is I love this because I think you guys captured something that's interesting about what young, just people in general, but especially young people want from the economy and with their interaction in the economy, which is experience. Like, we care so much about what we're doing, and this is a great way to give people good experiences, which is cool. The second thing is I know that there's at least 3 students here who don't speak English as a first language, and I just want to commend all of you because it takes so much courage to speak in front of people, and especially in your second language. That's just really impressive. The question I have is I'm a little bit confused about where you make money exactly. So does your app function like a portal? As in, say I want to book a flight to Japan. Would I be then sent to the airline's website, or would I do everything in your app?
So it works like if you want to go to the Paris, it's your bucket list item. So you just come, you just have our app and you come to our app, then we suggest you various airlines and you go to those services, to their portals through our website. We have negotiations with them, like if, we are kind of marketing their services on our app. So if you go to their services through our app and in case you don't, you reject your plan, so we will charge 2% of the cost from them. And if in case you book that services, you keep on continue booking flights, then we will charge 10% of the cost. So this is our basic revenue model, and we will also include in future. We will also include various other sources, like if we want to put on other, we are putting other website and names of various restaurants and other spots and photographers for just having a view of a place. Like if you are going to Paris, so you would like to have pictures, various pictures to view. So we will like charge photographers to place their pictures on our app. So these will be our basic revenue models.
You guys. So I hope everyone is as impressed as I am with what they've done in essentially 3 days. And during those 3 days, they also had sessions and field visits. And I think they may have done all of this in about 10 hours. So I'm super impressed with you guys. I think this has been amazing. We have one other really cool speaker right now. So we've been lucky to have a local Cambridge VC join us, Alex Van Sumeren. And so he's been listening to your pitches, and he'll stick around a little bit after to give you guys some feedback individually. But right now I'm hoping he'll just come up and say a few words.
How about that? That's good. Okay. Thank you. So, hi, everybody. So, first of all, welcome to my hometown. I hope you've had a great week here in Cambridge, and I'm really pleased to see another generation of entrepreneurs coming through Cambridge, and I'm glad you got to enjoy one of our splendid venues. As you've probably noticed by now, we kind of specialize in cool architecture. I'm sorry, it turns out the candles in the dining halls don't really float in the air, but other than that, we try and kind of give the whole experience. So I'm just going to do two things quickly. I just wanted to give you a little bit of feedback. So I wasn't actually being rude and doing my email. I was just making notes while people were talking. So I just wanted to try and sort of play some of that back to you. Very quickly, first of all, ciao. I think this is a really exciting proposition. Personally, even though I'm the wrong generation, I'm still that Instagram foodie. So I'm ready to go right away to the Subway restaurant and check that out. In fact, I was only in New York a couple of weeks ago, and I always make a habit of getting around town and finding the cool new places. So I think that's great. I think that also what's really important about your idea is that it's about inclusivity and diversity. It's about actually helping to expose people to other cultures and other foods, and getting everybody to feel like they can interact and enjoy each other's societies and specialisms. And I think that's a really, really important thing, and I think it's a really positive message in what, at the moment, frankly feels like a world which isn't always being that favorable and supportive to diverse people. So thank you for that idea. Of course, it's Gen Z focused, Gen Z focused, and so I'm not necessarily the right target audience, but I could certainly feel the strength of the idea. I too really love the visualization, by the way. I don't know who did that, but I thought that was a really fantastic element of it. Well, this is where the negotiation comes in, okay? So, your mission is to try and, get somebody else to pay for dinner. But, I accept that there is a challenge there. I think the only sort of thing that concerned me about the pitch was I'm feeling that the marketing costs are likely to be greater than maybe you had modeled. It seems to me that this is all about outreach. It's all about getting to, mind share, and it turns out that that's really hard and relatively expensive to do. So I think that that's something that might need a little bit more attention. But I imagine you're going to get pretty good uptake on this idea pretty quickly. So I think that's great. For the Odyssey folks, curated group travel. I mean, this is, this is on my mind. I spend way too much of my day, probably shouldn't tell you all this, but I spend way too much of my day kind of thinking about my next trip and where I'm going to go. In fact, I'm actually going to leave tonight for my next trip. And I always have that problem of trying to figure out what are the things that I could do when I get there, how am I going to make contact with other fun people. And so I actually really felt that that was a fantastic and resonant idea for me. The business model of taking a cut of the the cost of the packages, that seems to me, at 15% felt to me like a pretty comfortable kind of cut. As a customer, I didn't feel the pain particularly, so I thought that felt kind of manageable. And the amount of money you were raising felt like it probably was more like an angel deal. You were going to do some crowdfunding, I think, but also more like an angel investor deal at $125K than a venture capital deal. And I think that's actually a great model to start with something sort of bite-sized. And venture investors tend to want to write much larger checks, so you can save that for later when you've built the value of your business a little bit bigger. The other crucial point here is that Ted actually promised to invest, so it's really important that you get around there on Monday and take the money. Right? This is rule one, entrepreneur rule one: take the money. So I hope somebody's going to hold him to that, because I think that's pretty important. I mean, I made notes; it's here in writing. So okay. I'm willing to negotiate. I'm willing to negotiate. I'll be in the Tyrolean Alps, so you'll have to find me first. Power. So mental health support is a really fantastic thing to be working on, and I'm really pleased to see this. I actually invest in digital healthcare products and services here in Cambridge. As you may know, we have a big activity here in Cambridge in the healthcare industry. Genomic sequencing, well, DNA was discovered here. The structure of DNA was discovered here, and so ever since then, the healthcare industry has been a huge part of what we do. And trying to help people with mental health problems, it's actually a very difficult problem. The scale of it is rising in a worrying way, and so trying to address that head on and give people some kind of point of contact and some way of accessing other people who have similar challenges and finding solutions for them, I think is really, really desirable. I love the mix of the website app and the box that would give me something that would be tangible and something physically to, I guess also sneakily promote the brand and at the same time maybe find other people to interact with, and allowing people to choose what kind of level of engagement they have, whether they want to really come out and talk about themselves, or whether they want to kind of lurk in the chat rooms and just listen in and see what they can gain. I think that feels like a nice blend, and it's really important to give people those kinds of choices. So I guess my concern here was about how to find those people, how they would find the app, and you didn't use the word virality, and I just wanted to encourage you to think about that. It seems to me that referring others to these kinds of apps can be really super helpful and also incredibly cost-effective in getting growth of the number of users that adopt. So I think trying to come up with ways of getting virality, and actually things like branded goods are part of that, but also giving people a really quick way to engage or pass on the idea to a friend is definitely important. And somebody did ask about gifting the service, and I think that's a really nice idea, but maybe you can think of some others. And then we heard from Limitless, the bucket list travel people. It felt like on the poll of the audience, you were getting pretty good uptake there. Pretty much everybody seemed to be putting their hands in the air. It felt like sort of like one of the concierge services maybe that we get from the credit card providers and those kinds of people. It's a way of getting help to deliver solutions to challenging personal problems, and in the more kind of creative and arts area, as well as in areas like travel, I think it's difficult to build all of the resources that you need to deliver those services within a company. And so doing it in a way which actually exploits people's ability to help each other and actually get curation and to build a network and an ecosystem to support that, that feels like a really nice sort of tidy solution. So I was encouraged by that. I think the question about how you are making money didn't come across quite as clearly as it could in the presentation, but in fact you got a question about that later on, and so we teased that out, which I thought was important. Again, this ambitious goal, I wrote the word ambitious down too, is to get 1 million users in a year. That's certainly an ambitious goal, and we respect ambitious goals. It's really hard to get that kind of reach. It's true that people like Instagram achieve it, and they're worth billions as a result. So we're expecting you to work to those kind of standards. Thanks for nailing your colors to the mast on the million users, and we're looking forward to that. But that too will cost money, and so I think I was a bit concerned again that the marketing budget might have been a little bit on the light side to actually achieve those kind of goals, and maybe that's something to think about some more. Also, the budget on the MVP, building the actual product, seemed pretty tight. And if you can recruit your friends and you can shake your family's wallets out, then maybe you can get some cash together to do that. It's worth it really investing right to get the product right first time. When you're requiring that kind of growth of user numbers, you've got to have a really slick result right from the get-go. So. I was just going to make a general comment about, actually, I'm even going to take the risk of disagreeing with my learned friend who spoke a few moments ago, the other venture capitalist. In some ways, actually, having businesses which don't make a profit in year one is almost better. Because what I want is a business that you're going to grow to be so big that you're actually going to be willing to dig quite a deep hole of costs right at the outset. You're actually going to say, we're going to spend. We're going to spend to build a great product. We're going to spend to build our team. We're going to spend to access a really large market. And that's probably really the difference between doing things with venture capital and doing things with maybe friends and family money or angel money. It's about what scale can you achieve with the resources that you've got. And if you start with limited resources, then most of the time you're going to struggle to build a business of really great scale. And so the point of venture capital to some extent is to enable you to make losses so that you can actually invest to grow to a much larger scale in the future. And with that, I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes just telling you a little about why I'm here and why you're having to put up with listening to me. I'm a serial entrepreneur myself, and I started in this town at age 14. I managed to finagle my way into a job with the local computer company. I saw an ad in a magazine that I was reading about this exciting-looking new computer, and when I read at the bottom of the page that the address was in Cambridge, I live in a little village a few miles outside, I said to my dad, "Look, Dad, here's this computer company. It's right in town." And he said, "Well, you should write them a letter and ask for a job." So I did, and they wrote back and said, "You're a little young, but maybe you could come by in the holidays sometime, and we'll see what we can find for you to do." And so the first day of the holidays, I was on the doorstep. I got on the bus, I rode into town, and I showed up. And the poor guy in the office who had replied to the letter was slightly amazed to find that there I was. After an hour, he realized I wasn't going to go away until something happened. So he gave me a computer. He said, "Here it is. This is our shiny new computer," the one I'd seen in the ad. "Why don't you see what you can do?" And I got on the bus, and I went back home. My little brother was pretty impressed. We sat down in front of this new computer, and we translated a video game from another kind of computer. And the next day, I got on the bus with my little cassette tape. That's how long ago it was. I used to store programs on cassette tape. And we played it in the office, and basically nobody did any work for a few hours, and they said, "You can come back. This is going to work out." So here's the part that's going to get a little edgy, because when I carried on working all through those summer vacations for many years to come, when I was 17, I actually left school. I didn't complete my exams, and I didn't go to college. Instead, I took a job with my local computer company. And your parents may not thank me for this part of the talk, but the reality is that a lot of entrepreneurs actually turn out to be so impatient and so driven to pursue that goal that they actually choose not to go through college education. They choose to become entrepreneurs because that was the outcome they were looking for. And if you look back at some of the famous people in the entrepreneur scene, people like Bill Gates, you'll find that actually a lot of these people either flunk college or drop out partway through. Now, I'm not encouraging you to do that, but I think it's important to understand that people who have that passion will sometimes give that passion a higher priority than anything else. I don't personally regret my decision, but it's a very big decision to make, and it turned out to have all kinds of pitfalls and challenges for me along the way. Ultimately, though, I was able to build a succession of businesses. I've actually built 4 companies. They got progressively larger. I didn't raise venture capital for the first 3 of them, but by the time I got to the 4th, I realized that I was never going to be able to grow these businesses to really great scale without the help of other people's money. And I was lucky enough to get £1 million in venture from a venture firm which isn't located here in Cambridge, but which enabled me to grow that business. And as circumstances would have it, everything went well. Two of my companies have had IPOs on public stock exchanges. My third business did that after I actually moved on to the fourth one, and the fourth one grew to be a very substantial public company. It had a $500 million valuation here on the London Stock Exchange, and I ran it as a public company chief executive for 8 years. So I was able to experience the challenges on the other side of the table, where wearing a suit every day to see the pension fund managers who are my shareholders was a different experience from working with the programming nerds that I'd grown up with. And that's actually an awesome journey to be able to experience the transition if it's what you want. But a lot of people find that actually that stage of a business is boring and much less their sort of character appropriate experience than maybe the early stages. So realizing that you can do different things at different times in your life and that some things may not work as well for you throughout the journey is also important. Being willing to pull back and say, somebody else should take over now is important too. Well, I was lucky enough to have an awesome experience and to sell my business and ultimately to switch to the other side of the table. And now what I do is I invest as a venture investor in helping other people build their businesses. And I try to be the person who gives that next team the first £1 million that enables them to grow their business to a public listing and to enable them to enjoy the proceeds and to share that with the team that helped them to deliver a solution to a hard problem, a solution to a problem that many people in the world need, a solution to a problem which is going to enable people to be aided and improve their lives and support everyone in an equal and inclusive way, whilst at the same time actually making money for all of those team members and all of those investors in that business. And that's a huge privilege. And it's really great to see people who are thinking about doing this sort of thing themselves in the future. I really commend you. I hope you had a great time here this week. Thank you for coming to Cambridge. We're a cradle of innovation, and we really want to encourage everybody in the world to think about being innovators in the future. And we're lucky to have the chance to mix and mingle with you. So thank you for that. And I wish you a great time.
Okay, thank you guys. We are going to move this back to Clare College, which is where we've been staying for the last week. We have a little reception set up there. We were supposed to be in this beautiful garden on the river. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that because of the rain, but we'll see once we get over there. If not in the garden, then in our classroom, which means you'll be able to see what we've been working on all week. So I think it's probably easiest if we all just walk together there. But I just want to give one more round of applause to these awesome teenagers and to our staff. Thank you, guys.